Hello, my favorite English language learners. It is your favorite English teacher here, Amy Joy. Do you feel like you know a lot of vocabulary words, but that you struggle to use them like native English speakers do? Do you wish you had a way to check if your word choices are correct? Do you ever want to use an idiom or an expression, but you can't exactly remember what it is? Well, you're in the right place. I am so excited to make this video and share with you one of my favorite tools for improving your word choice and checking your vocabulary. And the tool is called Lingle. Lingle uses a few different corpora or just sources of English like Google and the New York Times to identify different patterns of native English speakers, like which words occur next to each other and common ways that native English speakers express ideas. So this tool is super helpful for checking collocations, making sure that your expressions even exist in English, and helping you fill in any missing words you're not sure about in certain expressions. So let's look at several ways that this tool can help you make better word choices and sound more native-like in English. Let's take a look. Now, when you go to lingle.com, this really simple screen will pop up. It's basically just a search bar, and there are a couple different searches you can do to help you with your vocabulary. So the first function I want to show you is to simply check if the word or phrase you have chosen is actually used in English. One word my students love to use is the word advices. So let's see if this word exists in English. Oh, well, I typed in advices into the search bar and it has given me no result. Now, this is a common word that my students use because they think that advices can be plural, but this word is actually non-countable. And when Lingle shows us a no result, that means that this word or phrase is not used in English. So if you're ever unsure if you're using a word or phrase correctly, you can simply type it into the search bar and see if it exists. Let's look at another one. One time my student wanted to use an idiom and they said this, hanging on their head. Let's see if this phrase exists in English. Again, no result, which means this phrase is not used in English. But my student here was trying to use an expression that does exist in English, but they got the preposition wrong. So now let's take a look at another function of Lingle. You can actually search for missing words before, after, or in the middle of a phrase. And you can do that simply by adding an underscore where you want the word to go. This is great for filling in missing words of expressions that you're unsure about, or great for collocations. So let's see how it can help us figure out the correct expression instead of hanging on their heads. I'm mostly unsure about the preposition on. I know that I've heard an expression with like hanging and heads, so I'm gonna go ahead and put an underscore where the preposition goes. And let's see what Lingle tells me. Oh, there it is, hanging over their heads, or hanging above their heads. I'm pretty sure that's the expression I remember. But let's take a look at some examples to make sure. To look at the examples, you just click on the result. This expression means that something is causing you constant worry. For example, if you have a lot of credit card debt, that debt is hanging over your head. You cannot escape it, you're always thinking about it, you're always worried about it. It is hanging over your head. To be honest, some of the examples are kind of hard to understand, so if they don't make much sense to you, you can always put the phrase that came in the result into Google and look for more examples there. But Lingle did solve our problem about which preposition to use, and that is hanging over their heads. And before we go on to the next example, I just want to remind you, if you have found this video helpful so far, that you like it and subscribe to my channel so you can keep improving your English with me. Now recently, another thing that my students said was advocate a claim. So let's see if this expression exists in English. Again, we see no result. So apparently, the word advocate does not really go with the word claim. I can understand why my student said this, because to advocate means to support something, but in English, it is not natural to put those two words together. So let's see what words actually go with the word claim. I'm going to put an underscore right before a claim, and then I see of a claim, file a claim, make a claim, such a claim, and the list goes on. Notice that my results include all parts of speech, like of a claim is a preposition, file a claim is a verb, make is a verb, such is a determiner. Now, if you are looking for a specific part of speech, like a noun or a verb or an adjective, that goes with the word you're using, you can actually use these commands to make the search more specific. So here you can see the symbols for the parts of speech. We have verbs, nouns, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, determiners, conjunctions, and pronouns. For example, for a verb, we're going to type V period and then a claim. So let's see what Lingle says now. We have file a claim, make a claim, have a claim. We have some repetition just with different forms of the verb like making or filed. And then if we scroll all the way down here, we see support. So if you want to check that the words you are using are common and natural and used by native English speakers, go ahead, put the expression into Lingle, check if the word exists, and maybe even specify the part of speech that you want to search for. And the last function that I love about Lingle is its ability to compare two options. So if you're trying to decide between two words, you can actually use Lingle to show you which option is more common or just correct. So let's take a look at an example. Imagine I'm writing a comparison essay and I want to make the comparison, but I'm not sure if I should say compared with or comparing with. Let's use Lingle to help me decide. To do the comparison, all you need to do is put a slash between the two options. So in this example, I put compared slash comparing with. Let's see what Lingle tells me. Okay, wow, so 99% of the time, we are going to use compared with opposed to comparing with. And this is actually a super common mistake that I see my students make. They tend to say things like comparing with high school. University writing is much more difficult, but in fact, the correct and most frequent way to say this is compared with the ED. Now, let's go ahead and do one more example using all 4 functions of Lingle to help us make the correct word choice. A phrase that my students often use is own the ability. So let's see if this is a frequent expression in English. I type in own the ability, and Lingle tells me that the count is only 220. 220 in this tool is not a very high number, so let's use the underscore to check for the missing word. We'll type the underscore and then the ability, and we have the ability, and the ability, with the ability, is the ability. We have a lot of different words and a lot of different parts of speech that come before the word ability. So let's narrow it down to just verbs. So I'm going to type V period the ability. Let's see what Lingle says. I see have the ability, is the ability, again has, include, including, provides. And you know what? I don't even see own on here. So let's just double check by comparing the two. So now I can go own slash have the ability. And there we have it. Have the ability occurs 1,800,000 times in this tool, whereas own the ability only has 220. I think my students like to say own the ability because they think the word own is more academic and more advanced. But in natural speech, no matter if it is an informal or a formal situation, we always say have the ability. And by using Lingle, we can avoid the mistake of using the word own. Okay, well, wasn't that easy? Isn't this tool incredible? Let me know in the comments how you're going to use this tool. I would love to hear from you. I really hope you find it helpful. And if you did, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel so you can keep improving your English with me. I'll see you next time. Bye.